Hey, little cutie, you're overcomplicating money. Mm-hmm. Believe me when I say this. Look at me. Let me hold your hand when I say this. You're overcomplicating money. I know because I did it too. I was frustrated with 401ks, Roth, high yield savings account. It can be so much. And this is why I'm so excited to actually come up with a simple plan that is actionable and that you could do. In this video, I'm going to talk about 5 tips. That's it, 5 tips. That took me from $130,000 in debt to $300,000 in my bank account that work actively for me behind the scenes every day. 5 tips that work whether you make a little bit of money, a lot of money, and are not going to have you stressing over spreadsheets, Excels, budgeting. Ugh. Do you want to be looking at Excel sheets? Me neither. Let's go. And before you think, okay, why should I listen to this guy? Because fair. Yeah, I had asked the same question. Here's my story. I'm an immigrant Colombian, and fast forward, went to high school, college, took a little break, got my master's degree in physician assistant studies. I didn't get here because I was a genius, no luck, and it wasn't a get rich quick scheme. And before you think, okay, so he was a higher earner or he became a higher earner.
Of course he's gonna have $300,000.
No, that's not true. Get that out of your mind. The reason is the methods, the methods, the methods, the methods. There are so many lawyers, so many doctors, so many high earners that do not have money saved for their retirement, money saved in their bank accounts. They just live paycheck to paycheck because they've risen their quality of life and that's all they do, right? So many people fall into this trap, and I don't want you to fall into that trap. I don't say this number to show off. Quite the opposite. Nothing frustrates me more than people that are ahead of us and don't turn back, give a lending hand, and help us get there.
And real quick, I'm not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. This is what worked for me. Cool?
Tip number 1, pay yourself first. The way that I like to think about it is your first hour of the workday goes directly into your bank account to work for you. Not for your food, not for your Amazon, for you. So let's assume that you get paid $10 an hour. Over the course of the week, that's going to be $50. Over the course of the month, that's going to be $200. That's about 12.5%. If that feels like too much, dial it back and pick a different number, but pay yourself first. This way, your money has already been saved, and what you actually see in your checkings is for your rent, utilities, bills, and anything above that line is anything you can spend. So if you see it above a certain threshold, you can spend it. Everything else is hidden away in a different account, saving and working for you in the background. Tip number 2. This one's going to be a real wake up for some of you. Know your real numbers. What do I mean by that? I want you to know and understand what your expenses are across different categories. Because if you have no idea what you're spending on, then you don't know how much you can actually afford to pay yourself. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to take a look at your 3 to 6 month statements. Take a look at all your spending categories, categorize them from most important to least important. And then from there, you can actually understand and know how much you spend every month. Because when I did this when I was younger, I found out my credit card was having a long-term relationship with DoorDash. So this is going to be a wake-up call. And before you start feeling guilty, don't. This is about awareness, not judgment. Just an understanding of where you're at. Once you know your actual numbers, you can finally answer this question. How much can I actually save? And that's when the real fun begins. Because you think that you can spend a certain amount until you do this part, and you're like, wait, I don't have to spend a lot of money on plushes and food and all of these things. I can cut back on that. And that's when your money starts working for you, not against you. All right, tip number 3, give your money a purpose, a job, or a bucket. Because if you don't, somehow you're going to end up on Amazon buying things you don't need to impress people you don't like, or however the saying goes. So let's give them a job. A lot of people tell you to save money, invest, grow wealth, etc., but they don't tell you where. That's very frustrating, and it was very frustrating for me when I was younger, so let's get into where you need to put your money into. Bucket 1 is going to be your emergency savings. That's going to be 3 to 5 months of bills and actual things. I would recommend, honestly, 3 months. 3 months of bills and things that you actually need to buy every month. Have that amount of money in your savings account. Bucket number 2 is going to be for either a high interest credit card debt person. You're going to pay into that bucket. You're going to pay your credit cards down, pay your credit cards down. You're going to split your money between those two. For someone that does not have high interest credit card debt, or loans or etc., you're going to have another option for a bucket, a very exciting one. So it's called a Roth. So one bucket, emergency savings, one bucket is going to be for either credit card payments or for a Roth. If you're really ambitious, do all three. And when it comes to how much money you actually put into these two buckets, you're going to split it 50-50 with the method that we talked about earlier. The concept of pay yourself first, and the example was $10 a day. So you use $10 a day, that's $50 a week, that's $200 in a month, that's $2,400 in a year, right? Your money grew that much. So per paycheck, you're going to split your money 50-50 between these two buckets. Tip number 4. Now you got to give that bucket a job. That emergency savings bucket that I was talking about earlier, I want you to keep that in a high yield savings account, separate from the money that you are actively using every day. You can't easily see it without logging in, so just keep it separate. High yield savings account. Now, so which high yield savings account do I use? In the words of a very wise young woman,
what's the name of your school?
My school didn't pay me to advertise for them.
So instead of telling you which high yield savings account I use, let me tell you what to look for. You're going to look for an FDIC insured, greater than, I think on average right now, I'm seeing about 3.55% or higher. So get your money in there first. As long as it's 3.5% or higher, it's FDIC insured, then you are good to go. The second bucket, if it's debt, I want you to focus primarily on paying down the minimum on the highest interest debt that you have. Every month, every paycheck, let's get it done. The second bucket, if it's a Roth, you gotta pick a brokerage account and actually buy something in it. Pick a big, boring, reputable firm like Fidelity or Vanguard, Schwab. There's many out there. You're gonna be fine. But your step one is gonna be opening one up. After you open that up, you have to invest something into it. That money just doesn't sit there. You have to actually buy something within that Roth. So that means buying an index fund, a mutual fund, or anything similar to that. That's a little bit more advanced, but in the meantime, what I would recommend is buying something that is diversified. I usually just honestly end up using VTI, but again, that's what's worked for me. It has had great return on investment. You feel free to pick whatever you want to pick, but don't forget this step. A lot of people do. I've opened a Roth, I'm good. No, you've got to open your Roth. You've got to take that money and buy something that will grow. And that growth is usually higher than a 7%. So now with these two buckets, your money is actually working for you, not against you. It's growing faster than the pace of inflation. It's growing money behind the scenes instead of just sitting in your cash pile, instead of being wasted on Amazon or Uber purchases, whatever have you. It's actually growing for you and it becomes an asset.
But what's the coolest thing about a Roth is that as the money grows, it grows tax-free because you already pay taxes onto it. So it grows tax-free and you're gonna take it out in retirement tax-free. That is very rare. So you're not paying taxes on the growth. You take it out and it's all yours because you already paid it. So you know when's the best time to pay the taxes? Right now, when you are getting less money than you'll ever pay. When you're 18, when you're 20, when you're 21, this is when you're making the least amount of money, you're in the lowest tax bracket, and that's why this account makes sense for you. And a high yield savings account, that's just higher than your regular savings account in your bank, brick and mortar bank. So it just makes sense. We're making the numbers and the math work for you, and we're doing what the banks are already doing, but for you.
Tip number 5, automate it and move on. So many people make the mistake of the second that they start going into personal finance, they turn it into a second job. They're micromanaging Excel spreadsheets, they're analyzing their daily moves, their daily investments, their daily everything. That is too much. The point of all of this is to simplify things and have things work in the background so that you don't have to think about it. So let's automate it. How do you do that? There's 2 ways that you could possibly do it. One is through your actual employer. Every time you get paid, you split where the money goes into. So you go into your human resources tab, and then you divide where your money is going into. And in case of somebody that has a high yield savings account, you put, okay, I want this amount to go into my checking. I want this amount to go into my high yield savings account. and I want this amount to go into my Roth. Another way is to actually do it through the bank. So through Fidelity, through Vanguard, you actually set up an automatic withdrawal from your bank. Now, once you've done this, if you have a Roth, you need to actually then create an automatic investment. So every time that you get paid, a day later, and say, okay, so buy some stocks, buy some index funds. Don't buy stocks, buy index funds or mutual funds. Buy a VTI if you want to do that. So the day after you get paid, you've scheduled to now have that exact amount, buy yourself a VTI every month, every paycheck, and it's automated. You don't even have to think about it ever again. You sit down, you do all these 5 steps once, you've automated them, and now you just have to go back and look at it every once in a while. If you get a pay raise, if your debts have changed, if you've now paid off your credit card and now you have to invest in Roth, whenever something changes, then you should look at it to try and reallocate or redistribute or change your buckets. All different words to mean the same thing. And that's it. So let's recap. You've done 5 things. You have paid yourself first, you know your numbers, you have identified your 2 buckets, and you have invested your 2 buckets. You're making them work for you in the background, and last but not least, you've automated the whole thing to work for you in the background. You've sat down once, done all of them, and figured it out. So if you're feeling financially behind right now, let me remind you of something. Most people aren't struggling because they're bad with money. Most people are struggling because nobody taught them what to do. That's exactly why I'm here, to get you to step 1. There is no perfect timeline, but the best time to start is now, regardless of where you are. So if you haven't started yet, let's start now, together. Because God knows I'd love to have heard those words when I was younger. By the end of this series that I'm creating, you'll know how to invest your money, save your money easily, automatically, and have the money work for you. So join me on this ride. And before I go, I'll leave you with this. This channel is a love letter. It is a love letter to my nieces. It is a love letter to you. And it's a love letter to a younger version of me that would have loved to have heard these words. Check the description and the pinned comments below to get yourself a free checklist so that you don't have to delay anymore. You have exactly what you need and you get started today. I'm so excited for you. In an effort to practice what I preach, I'm going to be taking my nieces and forcibly taking them along this journey and getting things started for them.